Hello, and welcome back to another episode for the Project Seed Money podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited to be joined today by author Nicole Fronek. Thank you so much for being here and spending a little time with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I just want to jump right in and ask, have you always wanted to be an author?
No, I have not. It came to me. It was a calling, I guess, if you will. I've always wanted to help others. And I've always had opportunities throughout my life, even as a young child, to be seen as a leader or somebody that others could count on. So leadership really called to me. And as far as answering questions and coaching and mentoring, that's where the book came into play. So I thought if I'm providing all this information, maybe I can just do so in a comprehensive guide that others can learn from, and we can have that dialogue together. So no, but I'm glad that I did it. It was a really great challenge and achievement, and I'm happy for the experience.
Oh, that's amazing. So am I assuming correctly when I say that your other sides of business is what actually brought you into writing a book, or what was the catalyst for putting a book in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is a lot of folks have said, "Oh, have you uh, gained a lot of business from the book?" And it's quite the opposite. I've already had 20 years of experience, and the book was born from that idea of I have this experience. I certainly want to share it with others, but I also know I'm competing for a lot of information, a lot of content, lack of time, or just a lot of other obligations and commitments. So how can I showcase all of this information in a consolidated, condensed, what do I need to know right now, the moment I need to know it? So it has really come from my corporate background and experience, although it doesn't matter what industry or level you have, this book really is digestible for a broad audience, but certainly wanting to share that holistically where everybody can learn a little bit right now, which is how I came to publishing and
Oh, I
authoring.
love that. I love that. And as somebody who loves to learn from reading, I think that is the best way because we get so much in that package. I know you put into it so much, but as readers, we then get to like have that resource. So I always find that is so valuable. I wonder if you'll share a little bit about your publishing journey, like the process itself of getting your book into fruition.
Publishing journey is tough. It is certainly not for the weak, but it is achievable. And there are so many ways to do so. It is not how it was before, where you had to go through all of the literary agents and then go through publishing. You can self publish, you can do lots of different things. My journey specifically was writing the book and presenting it to literary agents as a full manuscript. And I learned from that experience, I could have done so with a really fleshed out proposal. I was under the impression I had to provide the entire manuscript or have that completed. So it's kind of a lesson learned journey on part of my publishing journey, was understanding that going forward, if I have a really wonderful proposal, that's enough to at least get the conversation started and I can finish the manuscript on the side. So I ended up going with a local publishing company here in the Black Hills in South Dakota. So it's not self-published, which is really important to me because I hope it has a longer journey. And I know a lot of times when you self-publish, it can be stagnated, or a lot of larger names won't exactly pick you up because it's considered already published. So that is something to consider. But also, what is your timeline? What is your objective? It can take 5, 10, 15 years to be published, I've heard by some folks. So it really just depends what you need and what your objective is.
That's such a great tip. I had no idea that you could just submit a proposal and then be writing the book because that could be helping along with the timeline process of like maybe you're not totally
Right.
ready yet, but you could start querying. I didn't know.
Yes, you can. You can do so with a full proposal. And really what you need to have is your outline, your objective, and really prove that it's marketable. And that can be through your social media platforms, your expertise, your credentials, whatever the case might be. But what's really key is you are selling yourself, you are pitching yourself, and you have to do so in such a way that showcases your credibility, but your ambition. Like, I'm going to be a good profit, I'm going to be a good revenue stream, whatever the case might be for that publisher or that literary agent, because it is a business. So you have to showcase how it's going to benefit them and also what you can provide as an asset. So it was really interesting to come to that observation already through the process, but you have to learn through it. And I read plenty of books myself and did lots of research and spoke with a lot of folks, but sometimes you just have to have that moment on your own. So I always like to share with my lessons learned. And in the book, every chapter ends with a best practice list, because if all that you can take away is those 10 items, that is going to at least help you with that particular topic. So one of the lessons I like to share with people right out of the gate is maybe look at the other approach. Maybe it doesn't have to be a one-way prescriptive path. There's lots of different ways, but that was something that was really a critical learning with the publication process.
Yeah, it sounds like you learned a lot, and it does sound like you have this knowledge to then share with people. And I absolutely love that. That's kind of what this platform is all about. I wonder if you'll share a little bit more about your book, the title, and what all is in. I mean, just a few of the details, of course, about the premise of the book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have a copy right here. That is The Corporate Coach Approach, a systematic guide to career development. You can find it on Amazon, so you can get the beautiful photo, and also from my website, twohorseproductions.com. And so the book is really a way of transformational career advancement, and it's consolidated, as I said, as a guide, because I really want readers to feel empowered where I can get what I need the moment I need it. So it's very structured in the sense that every chapter has the same format, and you know exactly what you're going to have in front of you when you read that chapter. And you can read it any chapter you want. You can start at 1, 5, 6, whatever the case might be. But I would say I kindly ask that you focus on chapter 1, personal brand, because it will resonate throughout the entire book, and you can integrate thinking about your brand while you're growing your career through those other different topics.
Oh, that's incredible. What a valuable resource for everyone. I wonder if you can share when you were writing the book, did you face any feelings of self-doubt while you were going through the writing process?
I would say I was just curious of the market past my network. I was curious about how it would be perceived. And I knew it already had a market and a value because I was already sharing this knowledge. I've helped lots of individuals earn jobs, be promoted, change careers, come back into the workplace. I had done all those things that I speak about in the book, but I would say it was just a curiosity factor more than a doubt, because I'm very determined. So I knew at some point I would get to the finish line. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to do all those nice things that you hear about, but really you just have to keep going. If it's something that's really you're passionate about, you just have to keep going until you find a way that it will work out. And so I was just curious of that process. But I have a lot of friends and allies and advocates along the way, and it's definitely a community event. I will say that. And you're shaking your head. So you've experienced this in some element, but it really is a long, it can be a long or short in some, depending what already you're involved with in the community, but it is a fairly extensive process. So it's not going to be a quick win. It's nothing that's going to happen immediately. So it should really be done with the mindset it's going to take some time, and you need to be patient, but you're going to learn a lot in the process, and that's part of the journey. So I acknowledge that and I appreciate it. And you just kind of go step by step.
Oh, I appreciate that so much because it really is such valuable advice to just hear you are going to need community support, but if you can stay curious about what is going to come of it and what is going to happen, I find that curiosity often beats fear for me. In almost every situation, if I can get into a place of, okay, curious standpoint of what's going to happen versus, oh, I'm so scared of what's going to happen, I think that that can help us move forward in our goals. And I love the way that you're encouraging them to just to keep going with their goals, especially if this is on their heart.
Yeah, and keep going. And really, there's no, unless you have a deadline from a publisher, there's no firm deadline, right? When you feel you're at your best, maybe write a little bit more, or maybe if you're going through a challenge, you can reflect on it, and that might alter the course of your book or your narrative, whatever the moment is that you're writing nonfiction or not, or whatever the case might be. But your life experiences are really going to translate, and you might go a different direction you weren't planning on because of a hurdle or an obstacle, and that can even be a welcome surprise. So it really just is a matter of being ambitious, but also really, I use the word again, patient. It's not going to be a quick endeavor, but enjoy it. It's a reward to have that chance to do something of that nature, and so many different ways that you can. And it's really satisfying. I now have the book at the library. I now have it in the window at local businesses. Like, it's very it's a fun moment. You're like, I made it, I've done it, my name in print, whatever the case might be. But it is rewarding when you're finally getting to that promotion and that launch, and just stick with it.
Oh, that's such great advice. I so appreciate you saying those things. I wonder, once your book was out into the world, maybe even that first week or the first month of that publication date, did you face any vulnerability once it was kind of out in the world? Other people were reading and reviewing things like that?
Everyone's been very kind and very generous with their comments, and I think it's because they've learned something so quickly and they weren't expecting it. Because a lot of the times you're reading these dense books and novels, and it's very academically and heavy writing, and you're just like, what do I need to know right now? And so I think a lot of folks were pleasantly surprised that it was so accessible and digestible. And vulnerability, I would say, just really, again, curious, what is the feedback going to be of constructive? And I got a lot of constructive feedback through the process. So I was already prepared, and the price point was sound, and the artwork was beautiful, and it resonated with a lot of folks. So I would say just curious of the long-term sales and the longevity and how what the reach will be. But if there's any constructive feedback, it's only going to improve my my career, my development. And so I really want to focus on how I can resonate my personal brand of engaging with others and helping others on their journey through maybe the feedback they have to share. So so far I've gotten 5 stars and A+, but I know there's going to be a point where it didn't resonate with one person for a reason or another. And I'd really like to know why and explore it, because then I can grow in my journey also.
I absolutely love that perspective, and the perspective that we can learn and we can grow from feedback, I think is
Mhm.
so valuable because if we get stuck or stopped by that, it really can deter us. And I think it's so valuable to take that feedback and then move forward with it. I absolutely love that. So I do want to ask if you have the support or how you are able to support other authors on their journey, and maybe if they're needing help with the publishing process, is that something that you can help authors with?
Absolutely. And I do have my social media platforms, and I try to put posts and encouragements, and just this is what I've learned. And as I've shared on here, here's my best practice and list and tips. But certainly if you go to the website, touristproductions.com, I do have all the services listed, and it can be one-on-one executive coaching all the way to small groups and large organizations. So if you don't see something on the site, it even says, give us a call. We can customize, we can tailor. I've learned there's no prescriptive single path to anything. You really have to engage with one another, find out what their needs are, what their objective is, and just customize it and tailor. And let's have a conversation and see where we can go. And I find I've received better response from not having that strict program. Like, we can create a program for you, but I know it's going to shift. And they are very, I have a gal I coach with at the moment, and she said, I love that we can just adjust course at a moment's notice. And I said, this is your journey. This is your career. I'm not going to give you this, we have to follow A through Z, because that's not going to serve either one of us. So I can certainly be of help wherever help is needed. I just learn a little bit about the person and we can go from there.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. And I know you've mentioned it a couple times already, but I just want to clarify. Can you please tell my audience where they can find you and your social media and your books?
Yes, thank you for asking. So it is twohorseproductions.com. The book is available on Amazon. It's Corporate Coach Approach, the Systematic Guide to Career Development. And then certainly on Instagram, it's at Corporate Coach Approach, and at Two Horse Productions 605. The 605 is very important because there are some DJs, Two Horse Productions in Kansas, who are getting a lot of extra publicity, might I add, from these interviews. So I don't know who they are, but if at least I hope they follow me one day.
Oh, that's amazing. I've never heard of like a mishap like that where it's like, oh, this is a DJ and my same name. I think that's amazing. It
But look
may
for the two horses, black and white. It's a circular logo, and you can't miss it.
That's perfect. And I will make sure to have all of the links to everything in the description below so that it's easy for people to find you as well. I just have one last question. It may seem redundant because you've been giving us so much advice this whole time, but I wonder if you have one last piece of advice for my authors. They're striving to be female authors and they are maybe caught in fear, or maybe they're stuck in some other way, but they're looking to get that first book in the world. And I just wonder if you can encourage them a little bit.
Absolutely. I would say, regardless of what the genre is, just know that you have that expertise or that passion, and just continue. If you need to take a break, you need to take a pause, that's fine. things are going to shift and we have to acknowledge our boundaries. But if you just keep going forward and knowing that at some day you will achieve, you will hit the finish line, it will be worth it. So don't give up. I would say listen to commentary, critique, criticism, whatever word it is that you receive. Take it to heart and acknowledge it and treat it as a gift, and don't try to, I would say, argue it, but really reflect, what does it mean, and can it improve the situation, or can it improve my writing? So think of it as a way to grow, not a way to stop, or not a stopping point. Just keep going, in summary.
Thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you so much for spending a little time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week. Bye.